So what we'll need is a nice big orange, some birdseed, a ball of twine, a sharp knife, some scissors, a big spoon, and some wooden skewers. Hopefully you'll have some or all of this at home already. Our first step is to take our orange and cut it in half very carefully, like so. If you're not super confident in your knife wielding skills, I recommend asking an older sibling or a parent to help you out with this part. Now we grab a spare little bowl and we're going to scoop out all of the yummy juicy bits of our orange. This does get pretty messy, so that's why I'm using a chopping board as well, but feel free to snack on that delicious orange as you scoop it out, but we will be saving it for our bird friends to eat a little bit later on. So once we've finished scooping out all of the orange flesh, we'll then pop that little bowl off to the side, but keep it handy, and then we can put our spoon away. We are now left with our two little orange peel bowls. We'll take one of our skewers, nice wooden skewers. I found these at our local hardware store in the barbecue section. What we're going to do is we're going to thread that skewer right across the middle of one of those peels. We're then going to take a second skewer and make a little cross. Now don't thread through too close to the edge of the peel, otherwise you might sacrifice some structural integrity. So we want to have a nice strong cross that will be able to support that little orange when it's nice and full of seed. The next thing we're going to do is cut off those sharp pointy ends of the skewers, because the last thing we want is any of our little wild bird friends getting a jab in the chest when they're just trying to come down for a yummy snack. Again, ask someone else for help if you're not too sure about how to go about this safely. We're going to repeat on the other side of the orange. That's the bonus of one orange, is that it easily creates two bird feeders straight away. So we now have our nice little bowls with our little supports there, which are going to act as perches for the birds when they do come down to eat the seed from these oranges. Now this is something called jute twine, which is fantastic for craft projects like this because it is made from plant fibres and is fully biodegradable. So because we're using orange peel, biodegradable twine and wooden skewers, what that means is that once the birds are finished with these little feeders, we can pop the whole thing in our green bin or in our compost and it will break down over time. So no nasty plastics that'll get caught up in the environment or in your backyard. So we're going to cut two similar lengths of string for each little bird feeder. It doesn't matter exactly how long they are, you can play around with this. But once we've got our 2 pieces per feeder, we're going to tie a nice strong double knot. I'm not a sailor, so I don't know any fancy knots. I just stick with a normal double knot there. We're going to tie the other end to the opposite side of that skewer. This can be a little bit fiddly, but we do want to take care that we are using nice tight knots to tie up our bird feeder, because who knows what sort of birds will come and eat from our delicious orange seed feeders. They may be a little bit heavier, and especially after they've finished chomping away from this little snack that we've made them, we want to make sure that they've got a nice strong support that we can hang over a branch, a tree, even maybe on your veranda if you have a balcony. It doesn't have to go right out in the garden. You can see how close you can tempt those birds to come and visit you while they're having their afternoon or morning tea. So once we've finished tying these all up, we're going to trim the last little bits of rope off the side so that our birds don't get tangled in anything accidentally. Now that we've finished tying on our twine, we'll have these lovely little hanging baskets that we'll be able to rig up to wherever we think the birds will come and find them. Now, if you can't thread your hanger over the edge of a branch, these little bits here can slide right off the edge of the skewer so that you can loop it over and then tie it back on right in the middle of a thick, sturdy branch. Our last step is to very carefully, or not so carefully, pour some birdseed into those orange halves. You can see here I'm just using a bowl on my finger. You can use a spoon if you like, or you can just drop the seed from a great height and hope that most, if some of it, lands in that orange there. Again, a little bit messy, so worth having something underneath to save your parents' table or floor from being covered in bird seeds, unless they like to snack on those themselves. Now I'm going to do a nice little garnish with some of our orange that we scooped out right at the beginning of this exercise, because as well as seeds, most of our native parrots and birds actually love some nice juicy fruit as well. And that's the benefit of having some of that orange still left in under the seeds, is that even once they've finished eating those seeds, they'll have a good little treat trying to use those beaks to work out those last little bits of orange in the bottom of that feeder. Now it's time to wash our hands and hang this up in the garden.